My name's April Tafoya. I am a member of Ogden Clinic's marketing team. We're about to start this live, and so just giving you a couple minutes to hop on for our 4 o'clock class. This is the first day of the 12 days of Christmas. We're going to be sharing, or I guess it's called the 12 Days of Wellness, where every day we're going to be sharing a different specialist who's going to talk about a different piece of health or wellness information. And today I'm here with Kelsey, who is our dietitian. You want to talk a little bit more about?
Yeah, so I'm one of the dietitians that work with the medical weight loss team, and so I'm excited today to do a low-carb, holiday-themed charcuterie board.
Yeah, and we've got so many ingredients here that we're really excited to use. They're all just so festive for the holidays with this theme of red and green. And then I have a background in food blogging, and so I'm just gonna kind of give some tips on styling of the food as we go, while Kelsey kind of describes the foods and the nutrition profiles of them. I'll kind of just go around and kind of start plating this board in a way that looks really pretty and festive.
So a charcuterie board, I'm just gonna dive right in. It's, if you've seen on like Instagram or just flipping through pictures of beautiful meat and cheese platters, that's basically what a charcuterie board is. And then you can add in different produce and crackers and nuts and seeds and kind of make it pop and kind of, I love the versatility of charcuterie boards.
Yeah.
Because you can really tailor it. So today we're doing low carb, and we've got different meats and cheeses, but if you're vegetarian or vegan, you can totally swap out and use more of your preferences. So real quick, we chose 3 meats today. I chose a salami, prosciutto, and pepperoni. I don't have the packages, I apologize. But I chose 3 of those. They're a little bit different flavor profiles. They are pretty salty, so we'll balance that out in other aspects. But good fat, protein in them. But the key when you're choosing and making your charcuterie board is pick meats that you enjoy. Because if you don't like pepperoni or salami, you don't have to use them. I've seen people make them with like deli turkey and things like that. So choose meats that you like. But meats and cheeses are like, that's where you're gonna get your protein and your fat. So.
Yeah, and what I really love about charcuterie too is how adaptable they are. And even if you're on a budget, a lot of the ingredients that go into a charcuterie, they might be a little bit more expensive. So I wanted to throw in some ways that I cut costs with some of these ingredients. Is we really like to shop bulk so that you can buy everything that you need. So as far as like the nuts, the dry ingredients, anything that you would add like crackers or any type of nuts, try and buy bulk for those because you can tend to find them at a better price and as much as you need. And then with meats too, a tip that I found helpful is to buy it from the deli, and they'll just slice it for you. And a lot of times you can buy, again, exactly as much as you need in the right quantity just for the charcuterie board. And then I guess, shall we just get started?
Yeah, we can assemble, yes. And then the last money saving tip I have is get produce that's in season. Yes. So we have, I chose to go with pomegranates because they're in season right now, and radishes. But other things in season right now, apples, that would look really pretty, oranges,
pomegranate, even like persimmon and fig is a really pretty
one
for fall.
Absolutely.
And then one more tip, if you're saving money, is to do as much prep work as you can by yourself. If you buy a container of strawberries, that's gonna run you maybe $3. If you buy some pre-sliced, it's just amazing the markup with some of these,
really
with cucumbers, with peppers, with everything. You're paying for the prep work. If you do this work yourself, you can eliminate a lot of costs by just simply slicing everything up for yourself.
Absolutely.
All right, ready to get into it? Okay, so the first thing that I like to do when I'm styling a charcuterie board is put the biggest items down first. And so, are we ready to go overhead? So we're just gonna take you and start to do an overhead view of building this charcuterie board. Are you good? Okay, so let's get going with this cheese. This is a soft, it's a soft type of cream cheese, and this one has some balsamic and fig, which are both just scream winter to me. And then do we want to add in, I guess we can get these other sauces going. So
yeah, I like to start with the dishes. So this one is a jalapeno artichoke dip. So really good with veggies, crackers. Store-bought, I did not make that one. This one is a pesto mayo, so just about half a cup of mayo, any mayo you choose, and then 2 tablespoons of your favorite pesto and just kind of mix it in to add some nice flavor.
So we've got our creamy profile going, and then we can also add in, let's do this one too. This is just some very sharp aged white cheddar. It is just a great way to kind of add to the richness and get that salty factor going.
Yes, and so one of the rules, there's not too much rules with these, but cheese profiles, you tend to want to go with a soft cheese, a hard cheese, and a blue cheese. I'm not a big fan of blue cheese, so we don't have any blue cheese today, but this is a salami rose. So this is a kind of a big piece, but it's beautiful. And so again, I think I love these boards, how beautiful they turn out to be. Should I?
Yeah, so Kelsey, while I'm kind of talking through and arranging a little bit more, she's gonna demonstrate how to make this rose, because that thing is so pretty, and when I watched her make it, I was like, I can't believe how easy that was. I've never seen anyone make that before. So she's using just a very, I would say it's got like a pretty small diameter glass, a wine glass.
I don't know if you guys can see that. You can also, I usually do them with like shot glasses, so 1.5 ounce glasses, but this worked out just fine. And when you're doing the roses, I find that the thinner sliced meats are much easier to work with. So I'm gonna do this rose and pepperoni. And so I start with about 4 slices of, pepperoni, salami, whatever meat you're choosing to do this with. And you're gonna wanna fold it in half. So half goes inside the rim of the glass and half goes outside of the rim of the glass. And you can kind of just play with it until it's all covered. So I usually, for this size of glass, I had 4 on the bottom or outermost layer. And then you're gonna kind of keep going around. You do tend to use about 10 to 12 slices of meat for making these roses. So kind of keep that in mind when you're planning on how much to buy.
So while Kelsey is assembling that rose, let's talk a little bit about the diversity of charcuterie, both in the flavor profiles and in building it and what makes it so beautiful. So charcuterie is a blend of, it's sweet, it's savory, it's salty, it's umami, it's rich, but it's also balanced out with fresh. So keep that in mind as we continue to build this board, but also keep in mind a way to make it really pretty is to also vary the textures. It's all about variety. So I love that we had this rose idea and all of the different kinds of containers that we're using, the different textures of fruit and vegetables and produce, and just keep in mind incorporating various shapes and various textures, colors and types of foods. It's all just about building that variety and making it look really abundant and really beautiful.
All right, we are almost done. I'm gonna make this kind of our last one. So it's down there, and then voila, there you go. So this is another red meat to go with our red and green theme. Another way I love to fold deli meat on the charcuterie boards is not just folding it in half, but folding it again. It looks prettier, than just having, that on the board.
And it's a little bit easier to pick up and pull, and if they're not sticking together, we got this prosciutto to stick pretty well, but you can also like skewer a toothpick or something through it if you find that it's like kind of flimsy and not holding together as well.
So I'm gonna just put a couple more slices of pepperoni elsewhere in the board.
Are we ready to start? So we've got kind of our containered ingredients, and now let's start adding in the other things that will kind of just weave into it. So let's start with some pickles. Why not? We're still kind of going big to small, but let's just start to add in some pickles, just kind of weaving their way through. Beautiful. And then I'll start slicing up. I'm just gonna cut this bell pepper into long strands while Kelsey kind of starts to assemble a little bit more.
Okay. And this is prosciutto that I kind of folded This way I folded it into ribbons. These are very thin and they stick together. But when you're making the ribbons, you can kind of take the fat side of the prosciutto. So this is, the white part is the fat and the other side is the meat side. And take the fat side and fold it up about 3/4 of the way up. So there's about a 1/2 inch left. And then you can kind of just fold it on top of itself. And then it kind of fans out like that. And I'll probably put that, diversify it a little bit. But still makes it easy for people to pick up and eat. These are great if you've got holiday parties and you just want your guests to snack on different things. Okay, so you're doing the bell peppers, cucumbers.
I remember you had mentioned that sometimes you like to arrange the board based on what you could possibly dip it in. So where do you love yours?
So then both of these dips, the dips I chose, I think taste great with the peppers. So you can honestly put them,
Let's throw those right in there.
and it also tastes good with, your meat as well. I like the crunch of the bell peppers.
Perfect. Do we have any questions or anything just yet?
And going back to the variety here, I cut up some radishes because they're, in season, and they also taste good in the dip. So I'm gonna kind of make a fan shape with those. Actually, I should probably do cucumbers. It's kind of an art form.
It is. Okay, so building this thing out, I wanted to share with you, most of the items that we have today are store-bought, making this very simple and just arranging these items, but we did make one thing homemade, and it was from a recipe on the Lakanto website. Lakanto is a sugar substitute that's made with monk fruit. And I used Lakanto maple syrup to make these candied pecans. So they're sugar-free and they're a combination of a tablespoon of butter, a 1/2 cup of the Lakanto maple syrup, about a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then just a few shakes of cinnamon. And what I did was just in a pan kind of throw them together and get them simmering, and then transfer them to the stove, 375 for like 5 or 6 minutes, just until they start bubbling. And then pull them out in a single layer and then just let them start to harden for about a 1/2 hour. And that's just how these are made, and they are so, so good.
So I love pecans because they are full of healthy fats as well. So a very nice treat.
What you did there. So I'm thinking for these, yeah, let's just add them onto the side.
And while she's adding some of the nuts, I'm gonna add some crackers. So we've got 2 different crackers. One is an almond flour, just plain sea salt, because it's easier, it's versatile. It can go with any of the dips, any of the meats, and any of the cheeses. So we're gonna spread these out to kind of just fill out the board a little. I also have the tomato basil Parmesan cheese whisps. I love these cheese wisps. Wisps.
I love these too, they're so good.
And they also will taste great with both of the dips as well.
Just kind of pop those in kind of in the more sparse spaces.
So we do have a question in regards to the freshness of the board. Since it's laying around when you're, with family or hanging out, how would you keep this fresh throughout the day if you're creating it early and then you have to save it for later?
So these meats are cured, so they can stay food safe out for a little bit longer than you would typically think. Same thing with the hard cheeses. Soft cheeses are a little bit, I would just keep the soft cheeses in the fridge until you're ready to assemble the board.
Yeah, that's a smart tip, is just work fast, make this right before the party, or if you have a smaller board, this probably wouldn't fit in my fridge, but if you have a smaller board, prepare it, throw it in the fridge, and then just hold on to it until right before the party. And another kind of weird tip that I have done, I don't know if it helps or if it's just superstition for me, but throw the board itself in the freezer and then just let it cool down before you make it, if you have just a couple hours or a few hours before you're gonna assemble it. I can't verify if that's really going to help, but if the board's cold, then maybe the whole thing will stay cold for a little while longer.
Yeah, well, and like caterers can sometimes put like bags of ice under their trays.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
You can do that if you're expecting it to be out for a very long time.
Yeah, but that's a good point. Just about everything that we're working here will be okay. If you're using things like sliced produce, like if you're using apples and some other fruit, just one more tip is if you're gonna pre-slice an apple, for example, you can throw it in a bowl of cold water with a squeeze of lemon, and then just let that sit for like 5 to 10 minutes, and that will prevent browning of the apple. That's another tip that I've used before for apples to keep them from browning.
That's a great tip.
Great
and
question.
without it for tasting too lemony. So I just threw on some moon cheese, another low carb snack. This is cheddar bacon. Again, different flavor profiles to add a lot of variety on there. Strawberries. We've got some strawberries. Berries are one of the lower carb fruits, and so we kept them whole this time.
And I like what you did here, where a lot of times with the charcuterie, putting things in different places too, as you start to fill this thing in, just putting them in different areas to add to that element of texture and of different things across the board.
A little strawberry.
So the pomegranate, we were intending for the pomegranate to maybe go on top of the cheese, but since we're using more slightly harder cheeses and we don't have any brie, maybe we put them in a small container.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Maybe
Let's see if it fits. It's all just a work in progress. It'll all come together. I love pomegranates. They're
I do
so
too.
pretty with that jewel tone to them. All right. So now comes the fun part. We've got just a few sections to start filling in. I mean, the whole part's fun, but we've got some sections to start filling in, and this is where I like to add in some festive garnishes. We've got some rosemary here. I just love how it's got that mint green and forest green color to it. We don't expect someone to take a bite out of this, but it just adds a little bit of that extra textural and festive element. Almost looks like Christmas trees. So I'm just going to, we've got a few other ingredients, so we might want to...
I always like chocolate on my snack boards.
Absolutely.
So I have a couple different sugar-free chocolates. One is the Lily's Caramel. Let me get the wrapper. It is a Lily's Salted Caramel Milk Chocolate. This is sweetened with stevia. So if you like that. And then the other one I have is it's Chalk Zero Hazelnut Kettle Bark. And these come as a whole board or a whole bar. So I kind of cut it up. But the nice thing about these is that it goes because variety, and it doesn't have to, look exactly perfect. And these, I like these because these are sweetened with monk fruit, so it doesn't have the same bitter taste that some stevia products have.
All right. Do we have all of our ingredients incorporated?
So
cool. So we just probably got this little corner. I'm gonna throw in just a little bit of the prosciutto here.
I have almonds if we want to put some more.
Yeah,
almonds.
let's throw some almonds in.
These are smokehouse seasoned. But I think plain almonds, honestly, with all these different flavors.
Oh yeah. Got no shortage of different textures, different flavors.
Okay. Good.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Look at that thing. That's what I love about charcuterie boards is it's just so easy to start to create something really beautiful because you've naturally got so many different flavor profiles and so many different textures. So I would recommend just having 1 to 3 different types of produce, maybe 1 to 3 different types of carbs or crackers. Couple of meats, a couple of cheeses, like Kelsey said, a hard cheese, a soft cheese, and a blue cheese if you prefer. And then those just tend to come together naturally on their own, maybe with a couple of garnishes just to make it a little bit more festive.
Yeah, and I mean, I love doing different themes too. So if this is overwhelming, pick a flavor profile. So it's like Southwestern or Mediterranean. Italian, different things like that. That can also help kind of tailor to decide which things to put on your board. I would plan on about 1 to 2 ounces of meat and cheese per person. So if you have a big party, you're going to want multiple boards or a long rectangle to kind of help just make sure there's enough of the main bulk for
That's a
everyone.
great call. Do we have any questions or comments on the charcuterie? We're just about... All right, well, I appreciate you joining us for this board. We're really excited to eat it, just the two of us. I know. This will be dinner for us. No, we're really excited to dig into it, and we just really enjoyed sharing our passion of food with you today. So thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
We're gonna do one last overview of the board so you can get a nice look at it. It looks amazing. All right.